And you're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport for what would have usually have been the Springbok team announcement reaction show on a Tuesday afternoon. However, the team has already been announced, which means that we actually have already reacted to it yesterday, and quite a lot of outcry about the team, yeah. I mean, I suppose I understand we're in a bit of a strange time as Springbok fans and the Springboks themselves. The team in a bit of a strange situation where we've had some really big highs so far this year, as well as a couple of frustrating lows. I don't personally count the New Zealand loss as a massive low because I think that it was a really, really good test match, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But we did lose to Wales, for example, and there's a lot of red flags, a lot of things, a lot of sort of question marks surrounding the side with regards to, are we developing depth, for example? Is our team too old? Are we backing players who shouldn't be backed? And then something which I don't really like, we're going to talk a little bit about today, is the fact that the whole transformation agenda and the idea of quota players and that term like makes me boil inside has started to jump up. So I actually did a bit of a refresher. I did a bit of reading about, and if you generally do have questions and stuff like that, and you want to know what sort of the transformation story is regarding the Springboks, there is a 60-page strategic development plan done by SA Rugby, which is publicly available. And it's a plan from 2019 to 2030. So it's an 11-year plan, and it sort of outlines exactly where they've come in the last 10 years, where they still want to go, what the good things are, what the bad things are, and what sort of they're trying to achieve. And if you start reading it, I think you get a lot more sort of idea about what the purpose of it, how it's being implemented, and very much how they want to make it a very bottom-up system where it's quite simple. They basically want to get the school system right, really, isn't it? School and club system. And they basically want to make sure that if they can get the school and club system right with regards to equal access and genuine access across the board throughout the country, everything else will sort of take care of itself, because your natural, demographics in the country will start to seep through as access is made available to everybody. So it kind of sort of will fix itself eventually, as long as you get it right at the very bottom. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is that if you are genuinely curious about it, go and read it, and it gives you a lot more information about exactly what is being done. And if you do read it, you sort of understand that, it's not as simple as just every single team has to have this many players and this many players color and this many. It's really not that simple. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But before we do all of that, please do start smashing the like. Please, as I said, keep subscribing to the channel. We are past 17,000 subscribers, which is very cool. Our goal for the Rugby Championship is to get past 20,000 subscribers. We had a bit of a slow uptake during the last All Blacks watch along, which is a bit frustrating. So hopefully we'll make this Australian game this weekend worth it and try, and because we were sort of getting 1,000 subscribers basically per match day. And if we were to do that, we've got 4 match days left, so should smash through that 20,000 subscriber barrier. And then you never know, might be looking at 25,000 by the end of the year, which would be pretty awesome moving into a World Cup year. But yeah, so keep subscribing. And how's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm a little bit sick at the moment. So apologies if my voice does sound a bit nasally. I don't think it does, but I feel like it does. When you're like a cotton wool head and you kind of feel like your voice is nasally. So if it does sound pretty awful, I apologize. Hopefully it'll be fine for this weekend. But yes, so I see Sean Barnard in the comments saying, while you're waiting to do Steve start and smash the like button, 100% do as Sean says. Attractor Sports, how you doing? Campus said made it, but missing the 1 o'clock live call. Yeah, we've been here. Mostly morning, Steve. It's going to be a very early morning this Saturday. Oh my living! I mean, 7:30. My mates were saying, are we hitting drinks for Friday night? And no drinks, none. I'm gonna be in bed by 8 because I'm gonna be waking up at. So if it starts up at 7, it means we'll probably do a live cross. Well, we'll start the live build-up at like 6:30. So we'll probably have pre-build-up starting at about 5:30, maybe even 5 actually. Probably about 5 we'll have pre-build-up starting. Yo, it's an early night. Early morning rather. I wish I could say I was on the booze last night, but actually I think I had a glass of champagne. That was my entire booze content from last night. Ate a lot of very nice food though. Contender says, trust you all well. Who would you take over Alton's kicking if he is on for Pollard? Will Steyn come on, or will it be Willems? who would take over Alton's kicking if he is on for Pollard? What do you mean? Alton would kick if he's on for Pollard. That's a quite easy thing. Alton will kick the goal. Last season says, always enjoy tuning in from Wales. The Boks have an extraordinary amount of talent pool. Appreciate that. Love Stain and Dwayne, but honestly think it's the time to start shelving them. Yeah, buzzing a little bit after that result last night. Manchester United doing the business against Liverpool. Ahead of them in the log as well. So we move. Yeah, a couple of interesting things as well. A bit of rugby news. They got sevens this weekend, so we're going to go through their or have a look at the fixtures because the Blitzboks have got quite an interesting weekend ahead of them. Where a win, if they were to win the series, they were to win the LA sevens, if they were to win this weekend's round, we would win the entire event. So a massive weekend for the Blitzboks, but a very, very difficult group that we do have. So we'll have a look at that as well. And some transfer news. The Sharks had welcomed a very big player to their training yesterday, as was announced. Another player today. So the Sharks being quite active in the transfer window. But let's start with the sevens. I think let's start with the sevens because if we go with the Springboks off the bat, then we kind of sort of we probably won't have time to do anything else. So this weekend is the last round of the 2021 to 2022 HSBC World Series. Currently, the Blitzboks sit on top of the log. But Australia are very much after them, and Australia have been drawn in a much easier group this weekend because the South Africans are with New Zealand, USA, and Canada, whereas Australia with Spain, Argentina, and Japan, Fiji with Ireland, France, and Wales, Samoa have England, Scotland, and Kenya. Those are the various pools for this weekend. And obviously the first in Pool A, which is Australia or Argentina, will play the second in Pool D, which is likely to be sort of a Scotland and England. So Australia have probably a better route to the final. If we were to finish top of Pool B, where we have been drawn, we will be taking on the second in Pool C, which would probably be one of Ireland, France, and Wales. And if you were to win that, for example, you then go into the winner of first in Pool D versus the second in Pool A. So yeah, it's not the worst draw we've got, but it could still be quite challenging. It's about if we need to top the group. It's very difficult to top the group because if you can top the group, then as I said, in the first quarterfinal, you are probably playing the likes of an Ireland, France, Wales, who you back to beat. And then after that, in the semi-final, you would probably be playing the winner of first Pool D, which is Samoa, England, Scotland, or Kenya, versus second, or the winner or second of Pool A, which is the likes of Spain, Argentina, Japan, probably. So if we can top the group, I would back them to get to the final. If we don't top the group, however, second in Pool B, we'll be playing first in Pool C, which could be Fiji. So if we top the group, we've got a reasonable run into the final. If we don't top the group, we could very well be meeting Fiji in the quarterfinals. So a pretty big weekend for the Blitzboks. But at the end of the day, I think Neil Powell is sitting there saying that we're not taking calculators. We're not going out there and looking at what could happen and what we need to happen at other places. We are going to go out and do our business, which means we're going to go win every single match. And if we do that, we will win the championship. And then we'll take a Commonwealth gold as well as the HSBC series into the Rugby World Cup series, which starts in about 3-4 weeks' time, actually, which should be quite cool. We might even go down to Cape Town and cover it for you. You never know. That could be in the works. So that is what the sevens are. In terms of our fixtures, we take on New Zealand first up. South African Standard Time, it starts at 18:20 on Saturday. I won't be live for that. I'll probably be drunk. Or sleeping after the South African game. Then we're taking on Canada at 9:25 on Saturday evening. And then we're taking on New Zealand at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So we probably won't be live for those group games. However, we will be live for the playoff matches on Sunday, which should be quite cool. So those are your sevens fixtures for this weekend. So Matthew Dixon saying, I think the sevens season could be the greatest season ever for the Blitzboks, Commonwealth Gold, Sevens Series, and Sevens World Cup title. Yeah, look, it's all pretty feasible, to be honest, and in terms of we've definitely got the ability to do all of that. And we'd also be going back-to-back 7 series winners, which would be quite exciting. But yeah, it's going to be quite cool going into all these various tournaments as the favorites and as the team to beat alongside the likes of Fiji and New Zealand. So let's see if we can live up to those expectations. Other news, transfer news, Sharks welcomed Vincent Tuka to training yesterday, which was quite interesting because we've seen all the various signings playing or training with their new unions, but we hadn't seen Vincent Tuka yet. And the reason that was interesting is that Lions were still very much adamant that he was under contract until October, and as a result, were basically saying that they weren't going to release him until October, or else they'd have to pay a transfer fee. I think that was sort of basically what they were angling at, trying to see if they can get a bit of transfer cash out of the Sharks. But he has gone down and he has started training with the Sharks, which was very sad because he was the best. He's been the best Lions player for about 2-3 years now. So losing him, Similani, and Karisari have been pretty mind-numbing. But they've also announced the signing. Muller du Plessis will be hanging his boots up for the Sevens, and he will be joining up with Neil Powell at the Sharks on a 2-year contract. So he'll be there until 2024. He's 23 years old, so still very young. He's 1.85, 85 kgs. So he's definitely got the size to play at a 15s level. The question is, will he make it? For example, he was obviously at the Sharks before he went to sort of the Sevens full time. So now he's moving back there. He's utility back, so he can play across the back three. So I think he's quite an exciting player. I'm interested to see how well he does and how well he progresses at the Sharks in a 15s jersey, because he's done so well at the Blitzboks, but always interesting, especially somebody of his age who's coming into a sort of peak of his powers to sort of go to 15s. It's probably not the worst idea, because it gives him 2 or 3 years and to sit there saying, right, can I make it in 15s? Will I make Springboks, for example? Can I make a bit of money with the Sharks? And then it's not going well, you can sit there saying, right, I want to go back to sevens at 26, 27 years old. Or else, if it's going well, I'm going to commit to 15s. So it's probably it's an interesting move, because a lot of players, tend to sort of almost go back to 15s towards the last stage of the careers, or once they've won quite a lot at sevens. For example, Bernard Koch going full-time 15s from last year, so 28, 29. So we're saying, right, this is sort of the entering the twilight of my career. Let me go back to 15s because you obviously earn more money. Sibir Sinatla's done that route. Oscar Speckman went that route. So I'm going to see going into that route a little bit earlier than some of the others. But yeah, no transfer news really anywhere else. But we wait and see what's going to happen with Worcester, which is an absolute disaster situation. All the financial situation. We might do a bit of video on that once I've read up a little bit more and can really sort of delve into exactly what sort of the details are. But a very trying situation happening over there at the Premiership Club. So yeah, David Herbert says if 70% of schools in South Africa can at least start with an under-7 team, our rugby will become unbeatable with the talent that will come through. 100%. Argentina can beat Aussies on sevens. Commonwealth goal. Contender saying, as in if Alton plays and kicks badly like Wales Test and he is on directly for Pollard, will stay and save us, or Willemse will do a job. Maybe 10 staying, or he's too slow, but you don't want Willemse at 10. Well, they won't sub off Alton, so at the very least, they might change kicker, for example, but they're not going to sub him off once he's come on. You can't. But you've got various options. What I quite like, for example, is that what the Lions were starting to do, where you had a left foot, right foot kicker. So Alton was taking everything on the right hand side, and we saw Tian Swanepoel kicking everything on the left hand side, which worked quite well actually. So you could do that with the likes of a France Stain, which is not the worst idea. Stian says, let's get him at least 18k, maybe even 90k before Sunday. I agree. Listen to Stian. Be that guy and subscribe. Let's see if we can. I mean, how cool would it be if we can get to 20,000 subscribers before we even play Argentina? What? Good evening, Morris. Hope you're well. Eddie says, I love how the Sharks just keep dominating the transfer of the SA teams. The question is, will they be able to start dominating the URC with all the various players that they have signed? Contender saying, I look forward to seeing 12. I'm seeing you after Rensburg, 13 Tapawai. Do you think Koch will play the height course he bought at 14, or I'm going to be away now? I'm going to play at 13. So you're going to have Ranyans for Rensburg at 12. You're going to have at 13. You're going to have Fassi at 15. You're going to have, probably Werner Koch at 14 potentially. Mapimpi at 11. Interesting to see who they're going to go with at 10. And then, yeah, probably Hendrickson. You got Hendrickson and Williams, your 2 9s. So absolutely stacked. Sean says Sharks need a good 10 and a couple of backup centers, outside backs and forwards. They're doing well. Yeah, I mean, they've lost Marius Lowe. Oh no, for them, I'm sure. The Lions have bought Marius Lowe. But they've also apparently lost Jeremy Ward, who's supposedly going to overseas. I don't think it's been confirmed yet. Well, I don't think it's been announced. I think it's been pretty much confirmed, but not necessarily announced just yet. So they do need a couple of are a bit light on the centers departments. But yeah, I mean, they're the Sharks, so I'm sure they'll find people wherever. So yeah, I mean, that's it. We'll start paying a bit more attention to the URC in the next couple of weeks. I think it's already less than a month to go until kickoff. The first matches are, I don't think the first round actually has South African teams, if I remember correctly. Or does it? It does. I'll take it all back. So the first one, Saturday the 17th of September, is Lions versus Bulls, Emirates Airline Park. We might have to go to that, We might have to go to that. But I'm confused because, yeah, I mean, the Sharks versus Stormers is on the 3rd of February. That's wrong. These fixtures are wrong. I'm telling you that those are not. I'm pretty sure I got them on my calendar. I sunk to them to my calendar. And I said, well, I'm sure we're not playing in that first weekend. Why have I got go-karts locked in for the 10th of September? Why am I go-karting then? Yeah, it says at this stage, 17th, Lions versus Bulls. But why would we play and the Sharks and things don't? It doesn't make any sense. I want to find that. URC fixtures. Yeah, I'm trying to confirm that because it's definitely we're not I'm pretty sure we're not playing in that first weekend. Like 90% sure we're not playing. Yeah. So yeah, we're not playing that weekend. So the first weekend will be non-South African sides. We will jump in the second weekend, and it's an away match for the Sharks. I think we're all away actually that weekend. No, Bulls are at Loftus, Stormers at Connacht, are home against Connacht. So, and then Lions. So what I reckon we'll probably do that weekend, in fact, it could be quite fun. I'll probably try and go to the Bulls game at Loftus. And then we'll have somebody doing the watch along for the Bulls and the Stormers, and then I'll be back in time to do the Lions game at Hoppersdale against the Ospreys. I reckon that's probably what we'll do. We want to start getting a bit more to the stadiums during the URC and doing press conferences there and doing interviews and behind the scenes stuff. So that's the URC, which starts, as I said, on the 16th of September. So that's, as I said, I mean, that's in 1, 2, 3 weeks, basically 3.5 weeks, less than 4 weeks. The South African side, however, which is 4.5 weeks until they start. Methodist Sharks will start in Jordan. Yeah, I mean, they probably will, to be honest. Good morning, lads. This is Andy. How you doing? Sean says Bosch doesn't have a buck cap, but I agree with you. And no, just leave. Can we just have one nice player? Can we just have one nice? Are we not allowed to have any nice things? Like, just leave us Jordan. Come now. Now let's get into sort of the Springboks selection. And if anybody missed it, we put up a clip yesterday from Jacques Nienaber where he basically explained team selection. And what we've been saying on this channel for quite a long time, and what we've sort of been trying to communicate, is the Springboks look at they take a very holistic approach to team selection. So it's no longer as simple as who are our best 15 players, for example. So let me even rephrase that. They don't go, who's our best loose head? Right, he starts. Who's our best hooker? Right, he starts. Who's our best tight head? Right, he starts. Who are our best 2 locks? Who's our best 4? He starts. Who's our best 5? He starts. Who's our best 6, 7, 8? They start. Who's our best 9? He starts. Jacques Nienaber said yesterday that he said they first of all, they look at combinations. So, for example, we've often seen, like, for example, Kitshoff, Koch, and Marx are a front row combination. So those three always play together. So chances are, if they were to start, they probably all start, for example, and maybe they will all start once at some point. So they play this sort of very much in combinations. So it's not, as I said, it's not as simple as just, okay, well, Malcolm Mark's the best hooker, so he's going to start. Franz Mahir is our best tight head, so he's going to start. It's they play them in combinations. And people were sort of talking about the fact that the height thing was very much a factor. The fact that if you look at Malcolm Marks and he's much taller. But the only thing with that is that Franz Mahir is sitting at 1.9 meters and Vincent Cox 1.85, so there's not much difference. So I don't know if height is playing as big of a role as